Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to another burn pit video. This video I'm going to talk about a few souvenirs that I've kept for 20 plus years from my time when I was a Cav Scout. I changed my MOS from Public Affairs to Cav Scout long about 1992-ish. Okay, so let me get right into some of these souvenirs. So in a Bradley fighting vehicle, we wore what was called a combat vehicle crewman's helmet, and it was all padded, mesh kind of thing with padding in it, and it had big speakers on both ears and a boom mic that came around. You could talk to, plugged it in, and you talked to people, the other members of the crew on the vehicle. Combat vehicle crewman's helmet. And this was my cover. Every one of them had a hard cover that sort of buttoned to it and, you know, kept you from bashing your head on stuff. It wasn't meant to stop bullets or anything, or even shrapnel. Well, that was the thing, is that this was an old like fiberglass made shell, and they did replace these with Kevlar, and so I managed to keep my old fiberglass one. Let me just say that any of the stuff that I have that was issued to me and I still have, my hand receipts are all clear, so don't come at me. Anyway, this one was painted with Taz on the front, Marvin the Martian on the other side, and of course I never got around to getting anything else done, but I liked it enough to keep it, and I took it with me to Korea, and then I kept it. So that's one souvenir I've been dragging around forever. Now this is another souvenir that I've been dragging around forever. This is a Air Force survival knife, right? Now the deal with this is that I got it because I was a poor Joe and I didn't have any money to buy a K-bar or, you know, big stiletto dagger and that kind of thing. And I guess I just, you know, I didn't feel like I needed a big pig sticker, but what I needed was something to open MREs and cut camouflage for my Bradley and for fighting positions. And of course this had a nice serrated edge on it. But I mean, the main benefit of this is that it was cheap and it was available at clothing sales. So I was right there. And there was no internet. So you weren't going on Amazon, you weren't ordering from any you know, cheap place where you could get good knives. And let me tell you, this thing is junk. And I tell you what, Camelus, it's made by Camelus. They made a lot of money off the Army because they made demo knives. I think they made the mechanic's knife. I'll get to some of those down the road, hopefully. But let me tell you, I sharpened this over and over because it got dull. I tried to sharpen this to a point, you know, on the backside there. I don't know if you can see, and it would get rusty. I was at Fort Stewart for a lot of the time that I carried this, and it, you know, it's in the swamps, so it was very humid, and this thing would get rusty all the time, and then I'd have to sit there and sand it down to try and get it, try and get the rust off, right? And yeah, I had a good time with this. I pounded on this thing with the hammer quite a bit to cut camo. Took it to Korea, so I had to cut this a little bigger to fit in the pistol belt, you know, because that's what we carried, or that was the gear that we had back then, was the old pistol belts and LBE harnesses. It also has a little sharpening stone in there. In any case, so I had to cut this bigger. There's no molly or anything back then. It was all pistol belts and clips and stuff like that. And yeah, so that was it. So I've carried this thing around for a long time. It's a very, very meaningful souvenir to me. Okay, so the last one that I'm going to talk about isn't the actual piece that I wore when I was a Cav Scout. It's a one that I bought recently to replace that piece, because of course, I mean, I had to turn that one in when I got out of when I left Fort Stewart. I had to clear my hand receipt, so I had to turn in the old one, and it is this holster, and the pistol is my, you know, modern pistol. It's a Ruger SR9, but I was issued an M9 Beretta when I became a gunner on a Bradley, and they asked me if I wanted the hip holster that hung off your LBE or off your pistol belt, or if I wanted one of these. You know, I thought about it for a little while, and I thought, well, this would make life in the field a lot easier, because, you know, you take, especially as a gunner on a Bradley, you take off your LBE, you throw it to the side, but if you have a shoulder holster, you always have it on you. And so that's what I went with. Put this thing on. So I opted for one of these, and I tell you what, this thing was awesome in the field. And we spent 8 or 9 months of the year in the field, and having this thing instead of the holster hanging from your pistol belt, you know, every time you go to the bathroom, you have to like hold your LB. With this thing, hey, no problem. And it's got this clip right here that you hook into your belt, and then you and it won't slide around. But I don't think I ever used that. I don't even know if the one that I had if the one that I was issued even still had that. That thing was junk. I mean, not junk. It was beat up. It was old. It was probably older than I was when it was issued to me. But anyway, you know, I tell you, this is something that I'm sure that most people who spent a lot of time in the field or were deployed will be able to relate to. But you know, even when I'm not wearing the holster, I can still feel it. I can still feel the straps. I can feel the weight of the pistol. I feel that, you know, it's the same way with the rifle that I carried in Iraq and in Afghanistan. You can still feel that. You know, you almost still get a little soreness where that strap cut across your body for months and months and months and months, day after day after day. And it's same with this this weight. You know, if I put this on, go to the range or whatever, but I tell you, I mean, this weight is just the most familiar thing in the world to me. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you come back. I hope you subscribe, and have a great day. We'll see you for the next video.